Pleased to be joined now by Illinois head coach Bret Bielema, and we just heard from a couple of your colleagues. I'm curious, did they tell you anything when you got the job here about what to expect coming back to the Big Ten?
No, I reached out to Paul soon after I got here. Had not talked to Kirk some, since then, or on Zoom actually. But yeah, Kirk gave me my first opportunity to coach under him when he took over. Hayden had kept me, and then worked for Kirk for a short time, and then Paul and I kind of came about in a weird way, right? I was a coordinator with him. I was a defense coordinator. He was offensive coordinator, and transitioned into a relationship that produced a lot of really good wins.
When you left the league in 2012, did you think you would be back in it at some point?
Never say never. I mean, at some point, I kind of thought, I'd probably, eventually maybe get back into maybe a Big Ten environment in some capacity, but never really thought that. Obviously, I went to go to Arkansas and then try to have success there, and things changed.
How are you different now, though, than when you were when you left?
Brett, probably by far the 3 years in the NFL from a football point has changed a lot of way, I think. It's a game that's very different in certain ways, but it's also very similar. The X's and O's, maybe some of the stuff we did there, but more about the IQ, the football learning, game management, all the little things that you can take away from the game has been big.
Is there one thing you look back on and say, hey, I took this from the NFL and in that time that's helping you now?
I think when you work with the players that are at that level, right, they're great players all around you. All your players are the best in the world, right? And you really appreciate that skill set. But still, players want you to coach them, right? They want to be good. If you can give them one thing, they'll trust you. And a lot of that carried into my job here as well. Me, new guy coming in, if I could give them one thing, and I try to give them nuggets all the time that make them feel like they know a little bit more, better prepared, and that's definitely been transition.
What's the one thing from Bill Belichick? Everyone knows that name. You worked under him. Did you take one thing away there, or a couple things that you're using now?
Everyday mentality, right? Like, we talk to our guys on our door when they walk in. The first thing they see is do your job, right? But the second thing is to work hard. Third thing is to be here, which means be in the building. These guys are all coming from, different apartments, different buildings, different houses, different girlfriend relationships, different father-son relationships. Everything is just different. But when they come in the building, these 120 guys got to think alike.
What was your perception of Illinois beforehand? Obviously, you grew up watching it, then you coached against Illinois, and how has that changed now, if it has?
Well, it's obviously a little bit different, but I've been in this league so long, right? I've been in this league as a player, as an assistant, as a coordinator, and a head coach. Have won a championship at every level along that way. And I think, but to be here at Illinois and knew what was waiting, right? To be 2021 and to have an opportunity to discover something that hasn't been fully discovered. There's been flashes, there's been championships, there's been little runs, but nothing that's been sustained. And Josh and I kind of talk about that all the time, is the opportunity that's here is very unique in college football right now.
So how do you sustain that success? Because there's been a lot of bumps in the roads in that time.
I think it's got to be built from within. Like, one of the huge things we've done is emphasize, the recruiting in the state of Illinois, put a border around it. It's just something that I think successful programs are going to be built on the things that are around them and the people that are around them. We want to represent the people of Illinois that support us in financial terms, but also in showing up in the stadium.
There hasn't been a coach here in the first season that's had success, relatively, a winning season, since the 80s. How important would that be if you can do that this year, especially with the super seniors back? It seems like the precedent and the table's set for you.
Well, I am excited for this group. I really don't worry about what's happened in the past. I worry about what's in front of us. And for us to get there, I know where we have to go, but I'm not going to skip a step to get there, right? We're going to build this thing the right way. We do have a lot of super seniors and a regular senior class, 41 guys, right, that potentially this could be their last year in college football, and that's a great foundation to start with.
But what would that mean if you were successful this year?
Well,
in terms of the future and building your program and where you want it to be, right?
It would help everything, right? I mean, winning cures a lot of different things, right? And I think the last year that we've been through in college football, the transition of obviously Coach Smith to me, there's a lot of negative out there, and to provide our fan base with a hope, right? People will support things they believe in, right? And if we're able to show some wins, right, and show production, I think that support will grow very, very quickly.
Everyone knows you love to run the ball. Is that a fair assessment of what you want to do here?
Well, I think we'll be balanced. I mean, even if my time in the past, a lot of times, people make reference to that. It's what they want to make of it, but if you actually truly look at the stats, we're one of the more balanced football teams in college football, especially when we're going to Rose Bowls and winning championships. You have the ability to run the ball and pass the ball effectively. You usually got a chance to win a lot of games.
Illinois has been to 2 Rose Bowls since '84. You went to 3 in a row. When you hear that, what do you think of?
Well, I know it's not easy, right? It hadn't been done before I did it, and it hasn't been done since I did it, I think like in 30 years, right? So it's not easy, but I think if you understand that it's the process, right? If you try to have a one-time maximum or you try to build something up that can't be prolonged, you're going to be disappointed in the end. So I think the key is to build it the right way with the right kind of people.
What kind of philosophy do you want to have defensively? If there's one thing you want to do, it's what?
I think be multiple, be sound, make them earn every yard, right? Football field's 100 yards, right? And even an offense versus air a lot of times can't complete, a number of passes to make it down the field without making something happen negatively, right? So we're going to make them earn every yard and don't give away free yards. I think that'd be a big part to our success.
It's almost time to play football. If you can imagine what this place will be like, 50,000, what would that mean to you to have this place packed?
Kind of now that we're into a game week, right? Like it's on everybody's mind as it gets closer to Saturday, Friday night. We'll go to a hotel and we'll say certain things the night before the game about what you can expect, but nothing is going to compare to when they walk in the stadium, they see the crowd, they hear the crowd, they feel the crowd, but more importantly, when they see somebody on the other sideline, right? When Nebraska shows up and puts their 11 out against our 11, that's going to be a moment they remember for a lifetime, and I think they all want it to be a positive memory, not a negative one.
Do you get some butterflies, or how do you feel walking into that, knowing it's been a couple of years since you've walked out of a tunnel on a college field?
Pressure comes from within. I don't need pressure to do my job, right? So I really don't feel that kind of anxiety or tension. It's more of just an anticipation. I think it's good to have an edge to you on game day, right? But as a head coach, my demeanor will dictate a lot of what they do, and I always keep that in the back of my mind that they're going to follow the lead of what they see, right? And if they see me going crazy, overreacting, or doing silly things, then they're going to do the same thing. So I think it's about how you handle the moment.
But it's been a long time to this lead up.
Yeah.
Bret, how do you kind of process all the work that you've put in since the middle of December to get to this point where we're at right now?
It's kind of crazy, right, to think about this, but like I have 2 daughters now, right? And I think that they're going to know what I do, right? They're going to know how we play. They're going to see those things. My wife and my mom and dad are from the state of Illinois. My family's in this state, right? I want this to be a representation of what they can be proud of and carry their head high. To be a guy from Illinois and lead the Illinois program is an absolute blessing that I can't even put a price tag on. So I think that's the precedence more than anything, is it represent it and make people be proud of what we're doing.
Thanks, Bret.
Thank you.